All right, guys, happy lunch hour. So, we're going to do a project today, show you my way of doing this thing. And again, by no means am I saying it's the only way. It's just how I decided to solve my problem and figured I'd show you what I did. That way you can take whatever I did, adapt it to your situation, and maybe come up with a solution. Now, for those of us who have solar generators, a lot of us have these things, the portable panels, right? And they are great, and they are portable, and they are relatively lightweight, and you can haul them around. The problem is, for what you're getting in the way of power, they are expensive. You know, you're usually talking about more than $1 per watt that you can generate. These are 120 watt panels that I got for, I think, 159 bucks. Okay. So depending on your solution, depending on your situation, maybe you can do what I'm going to do here. Maybe you can't, right? Do I have these? Obviously, they're great for portability. If I've got to bug out, if I've got to go somewhere, if I want to go to the beach or go camping, I can carry these with me. I'm restricted by how much I can get in the way of input, but I still can get some. But if I need more input, well, I could string a whole bunch of these together, which could get very expensive. Or if you have the ability, if you have space where you can store something bigger, you can use rigid panels. So what I'm going to show you is how I built a rigid panel, portable, collapsible, storable solar array with two panels I have that are 390 watts apiece, the extras I had from doing my house setup. Okay. So now I can put those away in the garage, store it off in the side, not taking up any room, and if I need to charge smaller generators or whatever, I can roll that out in the yard, charge whatever I need, and roll it right back in the garage, and I'm good. So, let's put this thing away, and let's get into a build. All right, so let's start putting this thing together. This is not difficult. You've probably got most everything in your garage, your shop, whatever. Maybe you've got to go buy a couple of things, but it ain't expensive even if you had to buy everything. Obviously, we're going to need 2x4s. How much you need depends on the size of your panels that you're putting together. Now mine are 44 3/4 inch wide and 67 3/4 inch high, and I'm building this for 2 panels, so I needed 10 2x4s, okay? The next thing, to make it portable, you need casters, okay? Now, casters, if you are going to do it rolling around on concrete. In my case, I will be rolling it out of the garage, putting it out at the far side of the driveway and back into the garage. If you are going to get casters, I would advise getting ones like this, the locking casters. So I don't put this on the driveway and it rolls down. A little safer. If you are going to do this where you're going to roll it out into the backyard or whatever, then change it how it fits you, like everything else, make it adaptable to you, and put pneumatic wheels on it. Go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, and buy some 9-inch or 12-inch pneumatic wheels and put it on. I will tell you this, the wheels are critical for this. If you ever picked up a solar panel, mine weigh a little more than 25 pounds a piece, and they're awkward to carry, okay? And then you don't need to set it up. I want something that I can literally roll out the driveway, flip it up, and I'm done, okay? The other thing is I want something at the end of the day, I can fold it back down and put it right up against my wall, taking up less than a foot of space in my garage, okay? So the whole idea was to make this useful, portable, and easy to store in a small place. That's why you'll see as we go, I don't make this a fixed system that now is going to be 4 or 5 feet wide and take up enough room in the garage that you couldn't get your car in anymore. Okay. The next thing, rubber leg tips. I'll show you why. This is not necessary, but I'm putting them on. I think this was $3. Okay. I'm putting them on for the simple reason is this. Solar panels are very durable. I mean, you could literally lay one out on your driveway, drive the car over it, and it's good. Okay, not going to break it. However, if it drop a corner or something like that, they will shatter. So you don't want to do something like that. Putting the rubber leg tips on the side, so when I stand it up on end, it has something softer to tip up onto rather than just being on the edge of 2x4s. That gives me a little bit more security. Hinges. Chances are you've got leftover hinges somewhere in the house, door hinges of an old door that you took off, work fine. Again, I'm only moving, in my case, roughly 50 pounds worth of solar panels and probably another 10 pounds worth of 2x4s. You don't need heavy duty hinges. Door hinges work fine. Wood screws, I'm using exterior screws. 2.5 to 3 inch screws is what you want. I mean, you're going through a 2x4. That's 1 3/4 inches thick as is. So, and you want to countersink it a little bit. So maybe I'm getting 1 inch into the other 2x4. 3 inch screws are fine. I've got some of those too. Maybe I'll use those instead. But make sure you get long enough screws. 1 carriage bolt. It's literally all you need. I mean, that's $1. Okay. But the first thing I need to do is cut my pieces. So what I'm building is 4 boxes, if you will, 4 squares that are going to be the side, they're going to be 1 inch wider on either side of, well, of all 4 sides of my solar panel. So top, bottom, left and right. So if I've got 44 3/4, I need to cut a board at 46 3/4. Or I actually need to cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2 per panel, 2 per box. So I need to cut 8 boards at 46 3/4. That will give me the correct width. And then make sure you're taking off that 1 3/4 from either side. So you're taking off 3.5. So when you're putting them together, you account for the top of the joint, okay? So I need to cut 8 boards of each size for my panels. So I'm going to go do that, and then we will begin assembly. Okay, so if you can see here, and I know it's a little difficult, but you get the point. The thing's near 6 feet long. I've got all the boards cut out. So one of the first things you want to make sure you do is check to make sure your box is square. If you don't know how to do that, okay, you're just measuring the hypotenuse of a triangle. And I'm going from top left to bottom right. And if this measurement, which mine is 84 1/8, matches this measurement, which I've already moved it around and it does, then I'm square, okay? And being square is going to be very important because your solar panels are square. Well, rectangular, but you know what I mean, right angles. Okay. So all we're going to do is fasten all this together. I'm a believer in overkill. All right, so I am going to not only glue my joints, but I am going to screw my joints. So again, you need, I mean, this is like kindergarten stuff, but get some glue, spread out on my cut end, bring my piece in. And drive it home. Okay, box all assembled, and then put a centerpiece in here. If you see, my box goes from here all the way back to here. And then I put a center brace in. This will serve 2 purposes. It'll give some more strength behind the solar panel because of any wind or whatever. You don't need any sort of flexing, so it'll give it some more support behind it. it also helps keep these sidebars square. And you will see exactly why in just a second, why you want them square. Now let's do it from the other side. Move over yonder. And as I slide this into place, now what I want to do is come back with my 1-inch reveal all the way around, and we'll go back to the other side. Take that off, I don't need it. All right. I'll measure exactly here in a second, but the reason for the 1-inch reveal is you need somewhere to mount your brackets, your Z brackets, to the solar panel and to the side. So now, if I move you over here, you will see, let's see if I can get that, there we go, the edge there where my finger's laying, I can have the bracket over here and screwed into there. All right, so that is that part. I got 3 more of these to build. Okay, so moving on. Now that I've got all 4 boxes put together, what I've got here, you can see, is the 2 bottom boxes. Okay, there's no cross strip in between those. I don't need to support any weight on the bottom of this. So I'm taking the 2 boxes now and joining them long ways. I've already glued everything in the middle, okay, clamped on, and now of course I want to screw them together, and we'll zap this one in real quick. But I want to do it from both sides, so I want to really be able to hold, not just from one side. I'm not left-handed. So I'll do this with this piece. This is the bottom again, and then I will do the exact same thing with the portions that hold the solar panel. I got to remember to get in camera here. With the upper piece that's actually going to hold the panels. Okay, so now everything's all together, both pieces. What I would suggest when you attach the top piece, line it up over the bottom piece. Again, it's another chance to correct, to make sure you're square, that everything's lined up evenly, because now it starts getting important. Because the next thing we do is put hinges on. Now, I suppose if somebody wanted to, depending on how they're building this, they could have built this all in one piece and not cut these 2x4s in half and run a straight 8-foot piece across here. I think I'm 92 inches total length, okay? Could have done that. The advantage to doing it this way, for me at least, if I ever want to take it apart, I probably could. The glue is going to be another thing I'd have to get through. If I went back, yeah, I'd probably do it that way. All right, so lesson learned. Now I want to put my hinges on. I'm probably going to put them at about 1/4 of the way over, just slightly off a half, because I've got screws there, and then at 3/4. Okay, now you have hinges on, and I've lifted it up here so you can get an idea of what the concept is for what you're going for. The bottom frame is on the top of the workbench. This is one of the big advantages to having a 12x4 workbench. I'm not crawling around on the ground. And then I just have the top panel where the solar panels will be attached, just propped up right now with the 2x4. We'll get into a little bit here on how to set the angles for summer, winter, and spring and fall so you can get the optimal solar input. So the next step is to, well, there's 2 steps, is start attaching the ground contact, if you will. The casters, and then I want to show you the feet that I'm going to put on as well. Okay, so the feet that I'm talking about are for when this is in storage. And as I said at the top of the video, I want to have something there to prevent you from hitting a corner and shattering your panels. So these little things, which are just chair foot, stuff you'd stick on the bottom of a metal chair so you don't scratch up your floor. I tried to find solid ones. I couldn't. So I figured, okay, what's the next best solution? Fill it with silicone. Still flexible, right? But this is a good hard rubber. So then all I'll do is drill a hole through the bottom all the way through the silicone, and I've got a solid piece that will provide some cushioning for this. So that'll be done once the silicone dries. The other thing I need to do is install casters. Okay, and if you guys know how casters work, all right, you need a 4x4 basically to put them on. Okay, so let's just say this is a 4x4. In order to meet the width, or actually it would be like that. There we go. So you can meet the width. Well, we only did 2x4s. So what I want to do is put one of these cripples in each of the corners on the bottom, okay, so that I can attach my casters with all 4 wheels. So this is certainly something you want to glue and screw, because remember, when you're putting this in, gluing this way, you're going to be driving screws this way, but then to put the caster on, you're going to be bringing screws up this way. So you're not going to be able to put that many screws into the face. That's why the glue is so important, because otherwise you're going to be trying to put bolts into screws, and that doesn't work. Okay, so now putting the casters in all 4 corners, you don't need to see all 4 of them, but then also seeing how I set up the little rubber boot there to protect it on when it's standing up in storage. So that's what I'm going for here. Now, if I back out, this is where I am now. The next step is to work that brace in the back, as you see it there, where I have it at the correct angle for winter, for spring and fall, and for summer, so I can get the optimal solar input. Okay, so this is where you have to do a little bit of research on your own, and I'm going to make it as easy as I can for you. We need to find out what angle is optimal for your area, because obviously it's going to be different, say, in Houston, Texas, than it is in Bangor, Maine, okay, for getting the most solar. So the way to do this, easiest way, you can go to this website. It is footprinthero.com/solar panel angle by zip code. Okay, and I'll put a link below so you can see it. You're going to enter your zip code, and it will give you the angles. So if I click on that part, then I get this, and it will show me my optimal tilt angles by season. So for spring and fall, 29.9, let's say 30 to make it easy. For winter, 45 degrees, 44.9, again, make it easy. And summer, 14.9 for me. The easiest thing for me to do is to calculate this for a 45 degree angle, a 30 degree angle, and a 15 degree angle. Now, unless you want to go in and do all the math to figure out exactly how much you need to do, you can take those numbers and go to this website, which is a triangle calculator. Now, if I measure the 2 sides, my bottom, okay, my base from front to back, in my case it's 70 inches, and again, the hypotenuse of my triangle there is going to be another 70 inches, because when they fold together, they're the same. And I know that to start, I need a 45 degree angle. I want to go off of what my biggest angle is, because that will give me the longest support board in there. So if I enter those 3 figures, 70, 70, and a 45 degree angle, and I click calculate, it gives me this page. And this will tell me side A, what I need to have is a 53.5, roughly, inch high board support beam to hold up the panels at a 45 degree angle. Then I can do the same thing to tell me where my 30-degree angle is going to be and where my 15-degree angle is going to be. And then I can make, in my case, bird's mouths to fit in the solar panels at 30 and at 15. Okay, so at this point, the build is completed, with the exception, of course, of putting the solar panels on. Now, you saw what I showed you guys on angles and everything, and in my case, it was 45, 30, and 15. So I calculated out what the length of my support beam is, this one right here, and now I have a 45-degree angle here. If you see this bird's mouth, this one will bring me down to a 30-degree angle, and this one will bring me down to a 15-degree angle. So I have summer, spring and fall, winter, best angles for what I need. Now, if you don't know how to use the speed square, if you don't know how to cut bird's mouths or anything like that, that's totally cool, okay? Easy way around that. You could literally throw a couple of nails or a couple of screws in here and hang the top of the bar up here on those screws here and on those screws down here, and you'd still have the support. If you don't even want to go that far, find what your spring-summer or your spring-fall angle is and put it there. You won't get the perfect summer or winter, but you'll be pretty close, okay? So good. You don't have to go through all the craziness. And as you guys know me. Take the ideas I have, use them how they see fit, adapt it to your own circumstances. You have to build it this big? No, depends on the size of your solar panels. Do you have to build it the whole way? No, I'm giving you some ideas on how I did it, so maybe it helps you figure out how it best works for you. Now, if you see there up top, if you look there, you'll see I have 2 screws in the support for the solar panels and some picture hanger wire running into a slice that I have in the board. That's for security, because if somebody bangs on this board, it's not going to drop my solar panels down and crash. I have the same cut here for my 30 degree, and I've got the same cut down here for my 15 degree. Now I want to show you something here real quick. Notice the angle of my support board there. It's a back angle. If I did not have that wire in there right now, it wouldn't support. Okay, that it would just slide right out. It'd push that board behind, and that would be it. That's in order to have your winter angle, that wire is a crucial piece. Otherwise, it won't work. So you get not only the security side, but that's the only way that you're going to be able to hold at an angle that you need at this point. Okay, so now bringing in something else. This is where the single carriage bolt that you need comes into play, because obviously now I'm back up at my 45 degree angle for my panels, but that carriage bolt allows my support beam to pivot. Now, that means I can get it, what are we at now? Maybe the support beam's maybe at about a 30-degree angle. It'll come down, maybe about a 60-degree angle. It'll be more about 75, and then it's over, maybe at 110 going the other way. That board does not get tightened, that bolt does not get tightened, so it can pivot like that. But by pivoting like that also allows this to be storable, and I'll show you that. What do you know? We're flat on the table again. And that pivot board, you can see again because it's got my cuts in it and the bird's mouth, okay, is laying flat along the base. So now I can roll this out of the way with my casters and put it away. Okay, we are at the end. It is time to install solar panels onto this whole monstrosity. So what we're going to use are Z brackets. Okay, you can get these things on Amazon. I think they were $20 for 8 of them or whatever it was, so it wasn't bad. But what I want to do, and I'll show you, is there are holes on the back of your solar panel. You can tell that's my panel here. Okay, so I want to install this such as so. So it is the L bracket of it is facing me, not the other way around. Now, the catch that you have to remember is this. I've got a hole here, and I've got a hole here. The other panels is screwed into this hole. So this panel, at least on the inside, I want to screw into the center hole. That way, I'm not trying to push one bracket through another one. If you're really, really, really good, line them both up and put one screw through both holes. Okay. I'm not going to worry about messing around with that. That's why there's 2 holes, so I can do it that way. So that's what I'm going for here. So let me get those on. I'll get the panels mounted and show you what we got. All right, so there you go. That's panels mounted. So now we'll flip it up and give it a power test. And there you go. It works. It's a cloudy day, and I've got one of my little 1300s put out there on there. So I was getting 85 watts or whatever. I'm facing west anyway. I wasn't going to drag it all the way out in the yard to do this. But a couple of things that I'd change if I did it, and a couple I'm going to change. Okay. First off, I mentioned earlier in the video about if you're going to do 2 panels like this, do it with a solid 2x4 all the way across. Don't cut it for each panel. Yeah, that is important, because what I found is with the weight that at the bend there, it does bend down and touch the ground. Easy solution for me. All I'm going to do is put 2 casters in the middle, and that'll just give all the support it needs right there. So no problem there. Something else, getting some staples, some heavy-duty staples, the ones you hammer in, to tie a rope to the end so I can pull this around. It maneuvers pretty easily on the casters, but lockable casters, an absolute must, at least for me, because considering I live on a hill. Roll down a hill if I'm not careful. Other thing, I did a couple of times in the video, I noticed this, made a mistake. I was talking about the angle, and the 45-degree angle is my winter angle. The 15-degree angle is my summer angle, and twice I did it in there. I had it backwards, so not a big deal. Of course, it's 1st of May here, and I've got it at spring, so we're sitting right in the middle at 30 degrees. No big deal. But all in all, depending on what you have in the garage, I had a lot of the stuff I needed, but I went and looked at the prices for all of this. I could have built this if I had to buy everything for under 150 bucks. Now, not including the solar panels, of course, but I've got 390 watt solar panels on here. I can hook them up individually, like for my 1300s, because they'll only take 400 watts of input, or I can hook both panels together in series if I wanted to charge a bigger generator. But there you go, guys. It's my way of doing it. It ain't the only way, like everything else, but there is a way to build a portable, storable solar array that you can put up, have some solar panels, and lock up at the end of the day. So when the bad guys come out and say, gee, we're going to mess with them, this is in the garage, on your porch, somewhere put away, and you only need to pull it out when you need it. Is it the solution for everybody? No. Is it a solution for a need I had? Yes. And that's the whole point. Have a good one, y'all. Pinball out.